Hello, hello, hello. How are y'all doing tonight? This is your one and only Facebook Minister Eric Robinson Jr. Stepped on here. Yeah, it's Friday. Normally I was supposed to came on here earlier this evening to do the red flag review, but I guess I got a little distracted with some situations that came about. So I wind up now at this point doing it at this point of night. All I'm going to do, I know everybody doing what they doing, sleep or whatever. I'm just going to go here, go over the first three parts of the red flags points that we've been over so far. Is to prepare it and get everybody ready for part four. Most likely be the finale. Then not the finale. It'll be part four. But then after part four, we're going to go over all of the red flag points. And then that would be the finale. We're going to go review every single one of them. So let me go ahead and go through them pretty quickly as possible, so I can let y'all continue to resume what y'all doing and me continue to flow at my second job. So let's go over these red flag points from part 1, 2, and 3. First one is we're going to talk about the first one. Our first red flag point is they have constant work and family emergencies. Scriptures go with that can be 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3, 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 13, 1 John chapter 4 verse 1, and 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 13 and 14. Then the scriptures that will go with that one. And that one is always talking about how people are constantly always canceling their dates. We cancel dates at the last minute. We understand some things happen in life. That's part of life. But when it's always constant, every time y'all make plans to do something, it's always something coming up. Some of us do it because of the fact that, being honest, we might be skeptical. We might be scared to put our heart into somebody and put ourselves into a new relationship because of the fact that we've been hurt in our previous. Normally, not saying in a disrespectful way, normally I tell somebody go sit in the corner and heal and recover before you decide to want to go back on a dating scene when you are still hurting from your previous relationship. So go ahead, go sit in the corner, go heal. I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm being honest. Because the only thing you're going to do, especially if you're trying to date, is hurt somebody. Hurt people. You cannot enter the dating scene if you still got hurt. If you're still hurting from your previous relationship, your previous marriage, and you did not take no time to heal from that situation. So some people may hide behind work or family circumstances all the time. Every time you made plans, you made the agreement, okay, we're going to go on this day. As soon as that day comes, it seems like we always canceling at the last minute every single time. And I know people be like, we've been there. A lot of us been there. Sometimes we can't stand always. It seems like something always comes up every time we make plans to go on a date. You can't be able to make sure of anything if you're constantly canceling but not making adjustments. You have to be willing to make adjustments regardless. If you really and truly want something serious and you want it to work, then we have to be willing to make adjustments. We have to adjust and we have to adapt. We don't always have to go on mutual places or just to spend time with each other. Not always. I'm just saying, it's good, but you can always do something at home. You can just make it simple. Just do something you can meet up on. Very simple. Stop always making everything have to cough up money every step of the way every time you want to spend time with somebody. It don't always have to be like that. I know some of us, we could be scared, or even when we get to a point when we seen that the behavior and the excuses is always suspicious, we always say, well, this going on in my family, well, this going on at work. It's always constant. But it's going to get to a point we always get tired of it. We want to ask the question. But sometimes depending and determining on the response that we get back, even at points we may still want to reconsider the relationship because of the fact that there's always a cancellation at the last minute. So red flag point number 1 is they constantly having family and work emergencies. And I'm going to repeat the scriptures. Let's go with them. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3, 2 Timothy chapter 13 chapter 3 verse 13, 1 John chapter 4, verse 1, and 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 13 and 14. Some of these scriptures may repeat because they kind of relate to each particular topic, and some of these particular red flags will relate to one another in their own shape or form and fashion. Because I'm not expecting a bunch of people to be watching. It's okay. Like I said, I was supposed to come on in the evening, but I got wrapped up in tending with my own personal matters. So, that's red flag point number 1. Point number 2, they talk smack about their other dates. This is a key major red flag, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to let y'all know that. It's a major red flag key. When you're always dealing with someone who's always talking bad about the person and can't even come out and say one good thing, hey to each and every one of you on here, and can't say anything good, you always hearing negative. Let me give you some scriptures that goes with that red flag. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14, Matthew chapter 18, verse 15, Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29 through 32, James chapter 4, verse 11, and Proverbs chapter 11, verse 13. But the one that will stick out for this type of matter is one of them is 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. That's talking about being unequally yoked. We always get with people that we see that's physically attractive, but where the emotion and where's the intelligence at. We only see the physical, we see the materialistic thing, but that person can have a jacked up personality. Person can have a jacked up attitude. Dating is hard. That's part of life because you're trying to always want to be with the person that's rightly and compatible with you. But sometimes it becomes apparent over our second drink. We may have some people like to drink beer, some people like to drink liquor, some like to drink wine, some drink wine cooler. Even some just have a conversation drinking some soda or root beer float. Get my point? It takes that there's no chemistry, but someone who has nothing but negative things to say about everyone they've ever seen indicates that they don't hold themselves accountable for their part in these dud dates, dud relationships, dud marriages, which is, you guess it, it's a major red flag. And it's a major red flag because of the fact that people don't want to hold themselves accountable for the decisions and the choice that they made when it comes down to picking out these men and these women that they want to have something serious with or go on dates. They always make it seem like it's that person's fault, but never want to take any of the blame or being held accountable for their decision or action or how they want to conduct themselves when it comes down to picking out their potential mate. So the Bible states that we should not be unequally yoked. So if that person don't have marriage on their mind or their intentions, why end up dating them? Why say, oh, I'm going to date them, when I'm going to be in a relationship with them, they'll change their mind. Why do we want to spend the whole entire time being with somebody who's going to state no matter what we do and how we say that they still going to have the intentions of they don't want to get married? If your mindset you want marriage and this person's mindset is just looking at you as a girlfriend or a baby mama or whatever, a boyfriend or friends with benefits, but it's not going to another level that your mindset and your spirit and your personality, your attitude is focused and aimed towards, why you should question yourself, why are you dealing with them? Why do we deal with these type of people? That's part of being unequally yoked. That's just a saying that the person see you good enough as a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but they don't see you good enough as their husband or wife. And I always have to keep that in mind. If to them I'm not good enough to be their boyfriend, if I'm good enough to be their boyfriend but not good enough to be their husband, then I'm gonna pump the brakes and I'm gonna move on because, okay, my mindset is being somebody's husband, not being just somebody's boyfriend or baby daddy. I refuse to do that. I could be a boyfriend, yeah, because between single and marriage, guess what? In order to get to marriage, guess what's in between? Courting, dating, relationship. Even though, I'm going to let y'all know something, even though God doesn't always acknowledge the relationships, worldly relationships, only the relationship we have with Him, but here's the thing, I talk on this, it's cap. commitment, agreement, and promises. God honors commitments. God honors agreements. God honors promises. So if you can't show commitment in just that part alone, what's the point of marrying somebody who is not going to be committed to you? So keep that in mind. And also, be sure you be committed to somebody who's going to be held, who's going to hold themselves accountable and responsible for the decisions and the choices that they make. If they refuse to take any responsibility in their choices and decisions, and they always putting on the other person on why the relationship didn't work out, the marriage didn't work out, the dates didn't go the way they were supposed to go, they need to be held accountable too. It's just not one person. It's just not one person. It's not, it's their fault. I didn't do nothing wrong. So I had a bad relationship. I had a bad marriage. I've been on bad dates. Yeah, I've been married before. I take my part in my responsibility in how I conduct myself in the marriage, but I never cheated. But at the same time, same thing with my relationship. I'll take responsibility for my decisions and choices that I made. That will make me a better person. When you're willing to take responsibility for the choices and the decisions and the actions that I did, I can say I'm making a person of myself. Then guess what? It makes me a better person. It makes me more prepared. It makes me more shown that I can handle responsibility and I can handle the accountability that comes with being with somebody. Which part having another person I have to tend to and be responsible to, because I made a commitment to this person. I made an agreement with this person, and probably when it comes down to it, making a promise to this person. Red flag point number 3 is they stop having sex with you. Scriptures that goes with that is Genesis 2:18, 1 John 4:8, Galatians chapter 5 verse 14, 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 14, and 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 39. I told you, you might hear some scriptures repeat. You literally may hear some scriptures repeat, but they all going to click all together in some type of shape or fashion or form. And I know this is a part that you have no business talking about that. You're not married. Sit down with that. It's in the Bible, so let's shut that down. Period. Because of the fact that you won't be able to know how to deal with stuff if you don't talk about it. So if you two have been having sex and then all of a sudden you're not, something is probably an unexpected change in sexual behavior might mean something, or someone is throwing your partner off. That means when you and your partner have chemistry, when your partner have made commitments to, and y'all being sexually active with one another, it happens. I was supposed to be the one to say, you're supposed to wait to marriage to have sex. You can tell people that all you want to, but I can tell people that all I want to, but at the end of the day, people are going to make their own choice. So we can even tell them the consequences of that. We can tell them, no, you need to wait till marriage to have sex. We all have our own decisions and choices to make. There are scriptures that talks about that. You need to dare to we. I could throw scriptures, but guess what? End of the day, God gives free will. We make the choice on our own. If we want to be intimately sexual with somebody. Anyway, so when it comes down to that, that means if y'all, let's say example, y'all have sex at least I could say 21 times out of the month. 7 days out of the week, and there's 3 times a day. 7 times 3 is 21. Let's just say y'all have it. It's just an example. Don't let it go over your freaking head. It's just an example. Let's just say there are people who do it that many times a day. They probably do it more. Because there's people who are nymphos. There's MILFs. There's different type of people who like to have sex more than 2 times a day. They want like it 3 to 5, 3 to 7, whatever. Let's continue. I'm just making a point. I'm making an example. So, when it comes down to that means if 21, okay, you get it 21 times a week. That's 3 times a day. That's 7 days a week. Let's just say now we get to a point, okay, you stop you only have sex like 14 times a week. 14 times a week. Or now we jump down to, okay, we want to do it like have sex 7 times a day, or 7 times a week. Meaning you're only having sex like once a day. And then that number drops down all the way to a point that it goes to 0. That normally means either something's up or another person caught your significant other or your spouse's eyes to a point is knocking the chemistry and flow off. Just like, it's an example, don't let it go over your head. Don't let it go to the head. One of my friends, married, was having sex with his wife. And it got to a point, guess what? He actually called her by another woman's name. So now there's a problem because this man just said another woman's name. What does not normally tells a woman, oh, you've been cheating. You don't have to physically cheat. You could be still thinking because it gets to the point that, okay, you probably ran to an ex while you was at work or you was on your way home from work or whatever. You end up seeing this person and then you seen how they look. You put it in your mind like, dang. And now all of a sudden, it's getting to the point that now that man or that woman wants to look like an ex or a previous or somebody that you seem very interesting when you out and about. Point is, somebody just mentally and mentally just threw you off sexually. That chemistry, that behavior, that chemistry is knocked off because of the fact of something or someone knocked it off just by appearance. They don't always have to do something physical to throw the rhythm off that you and that person have. So, when something going on with that, yeah, something tell me I should have just regularly recorded it so I wouldn't have to deal with this type of scenario. So that's what's going on. That was point number 3. That's not now. I'm gonna keep it in rhythm and beat. Red flag point number 4. If you're on your 4th date, you're 4 days in, and they throwing the L word at you. Scriptures. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 through 8, Romans chapter 8, verse 28, 1 John chapter 4, verse 8, and 1 John chapter 2, verse 15, and Luke chapter 5, verse 35. And let's just say, being in love is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful feeling. It's a wonderful experience to be with somebody that loves you for you, and not love you for what you have and what you can do in the blood and whatever. Let's just say it gets to the point you only been 4 days in with this person, and this person already saying, throwing a love in. I understand. I love you with the love of God. I love you with the love of Christ. That's understandable because it does mention in the word that we should love our neighbors as ourselves. But you only been 4 days in. You not been that far into this relationship with the person or whatnot, and they already throwing the L word at you. Let's go into that. But that may be a good thing, but here's the con about it. Watch this. And being in love is a wonderful thing. And if you and your partner are both there early, then kudos to y'all. But if you're a few days in and they moving at a rapid speed, at warp speed, while you still finding your footing, something is up. Sorry to say, but you may be the rebound. So if this person just probably got a bad relationship, bad marriage, so forth, whatever. All right. Or in a situationship, and you only been on 4 days with this person, you haven't been with this person as long, and they already throwing the L word at you. Keep in mind, it may be good, it may be bad, but sometimes you have to be careful how you do it because of the fact that you may be trying to get your foot in up at the person, but this person throwing the L word. So be careful that you don't turn into somebody's rebound. Do not turn into somebody's rebound. Because most likely, if you're hearing it 3-4 days in, and you haven't been with that person that long, you haven't been on a date with that person that long, or getting to know that person that long, and they throwing the L word at you, if it ain't the love of Christ or it ain't the love of God, then they're looking at you as a rebound. They look at the person as a rebound because of the fact that they're trying to use you to get over their previous. And that's not a good thing. We can't be going so warp speed into situations, telling somebody, I love you, baby. Warp speed, and you only been with this person and been dating this person for a couple weeks or even just a month. It's good to be in love. I never shoot it down. But at the same time, you got to be careful that they're not saying it in a way of they're just using it for you to get over their previous. Keep that in mind. Point number 5, red flag number 5. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Come on. I know people gonna be in and out, so forth. I understand. But at the same time, they expect to be on here at 11 something at night doing this. I thought I was gonna be doing it in the evening, but it's all right. Things happen. Circumstances happen. They avoid uncomfortable conversations. Scriptures that goes with that is Philippians chapter 4, verse 6, Proverbs chapter 20, verse 5, Matthew chapter 18, verse 15, James chapter 1, verse 19, Proverbs chapter 12, verse 16. Avoiding uncomfortable, hey, how you doing? God bless you. Avoiding uncomfortable conversations. Let's go into that right quick. I'm just trying to go through these points as fast as I can. You can't expect to forge a bond with someone who deflects serious conversations. That means we're trying to get to the point that we're trying to get to know somebody, trying to have a bond, trying to have a flow with that person. You really get to know what they're about and what their real intentions is. And the fact of this person is constantly finding ways to deflect, having these typical serious conversations that needs to be had in order to know where you stand at and where y'all are going. Example, like, you want to know what are you? Let's use this as an example. It's an example. Don't let it go over your head. Let's just say y'all been doing it what you would normally do when you're in a relationship or doing the benefits of marriage and all that stuff. But yes, say you want to talk to your significant other, you want to take to your spouse, and you want to talk to your significant other, and you want to know what the status you are. What are we? All I've been doing is doing what I show that I really want to be with you and everything. But yet still, you've been deflecting and avoiding, trying to let me know, what are we? Are we in a relationship or not? Because I know some of y'all don't want to date. Y'all date with a purpose, but I know y'all don't want to date just to be somebody's friends with benefits. And I know y'all don't want to date to be somebody's busted baby. I said it. So if they sit up there trying to avoid the serious conversations that y'all need to have, and then if you ask them this question and they give you let me give you an answer, because I know some men majority of the time give you this, well, you know what we is, you know what we do, we know what we about, you know what we are. If they giving you that and not giving you the answer that you really need, man, you may want to really reconsider who you are in a committed relationship, or work towards a committed relationship with, because they dancing around the question, beating around the bush. So let's continue. People who refuse to communicate about the state of their relationship typically don't want to have a real relationship. If people keep constantly refusing to communicate about the state of their relationship, that's telling us automatically, you must don't really want a real relationship. So if people cannot handle a conversation that needs to be handled, then they don't want nothing real. They want all the benefits and don't have to have the real ties to the commitment of it, or in this term, the responsibilities that comes with it. So if that person dances around your question, and then often some of us will throw a question right back at you. I say, okay, what are we doing? Or, you know what we are. I don't need to answer that question. If I'm here with you, then you know what that means. No, I don't. That means you're just here. You're just here to be here. What are we? Got to go in with it at times. Not in a bad way, but got to go in with it. Because it says in James 1:9, slow to listen, quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Stop getting peeved off so fast without really getting the answer. I can understand we want to get mad and upset because this woman is not getting us a straight up answer because they either want to hinder us, they want to dance around it, or it's getting to the point that you say you want it, but your actions show me different. So keep that in mind. And let's continue. Red flag point number 6, they try to change you. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14, Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19 and 20. They try to change you. They try to make you into something that you're not. And you're like, Minister Eric, what the heck do you mean? Let's say what it means. It means in a way of your mindset is marriage. Your goal to dating with a purpose is a relationship that turns into marriage. And they're trying to change you and keep you and make you change your standards and your expectations from marriage to just staying in a relationship, just to be a baby mama or baby daddy, or just be a friend with benefits. They try to lure you. They try to change your mindset in order to prevent you from potentially leaving. Let's go into it. Anyone who pressures you into anything, whether it's small like cutting your hair or wearing shorter skirts, or big like spending less time with your family and friends, is controlling you. Your partner should be dating you because they like you, not a version of you they're trying to create. They're trying to create a version of you that you may not like, but it's a good thing to them. And if that person comes into your life is trying to have you spend less time with your family and your friends and spend more time with them, they're controlling, they're manipulative, they're narcissistic. Because they're trying to hog you and keep you to themselves. That's part of being unequally yoked. And that's also part of be renewed by them, renewing of your mind. That means you have to change your mind in a positive way. Not in a way that's going to be approved to everybody else. Sometimes a lot of people is not going to approve on our mindsets. People not going to approve on it. So because they're not going to approve of it, they'll do whatever they can to change our mindsets, change your mindset, change my mindset, just to please them. Hi, how you doing? God bless you. To please them. But wondering why the relationship don't last, the door don't work. Red flag point number 7, they're selfish. And red flag point 6 and 7 kind of relates. Mosquito, y'all. Sorry about that. Kind of red flag point 6 and 7 do relate on this term. Listen very carefully. Scripture that goes with that is Proverbs chapter 27, verse 2, Luke chapter 16, verse 13, James chapter 3, verse 16, and John chapter 3, verse 30. And this one is talking about being selfish. You go to their work, dinners, and so on, out to see their family for holidays. You even meal prep and clean up the mess for them. Do they do the same for you? Relationships are a two-way street, and your efforts should be reciprocated. Let me explain that one, ladies and gentlemen. I need y'all to listen very carefully because it relates to number 6, how people try to change you. Let's just say you put all the effort in. You do what you can for them to your best ability. But at the same time, are you getting that same energy and effort back from your significant other? Are you getting it back from your spouse? Are you getting it back from a potential? That means if you're giving 100%, they need to give 100%. Bible scripture I always kept in mind is Luke chapter 6, verse 38. Give it and get back unto you, press down, shaking together, and run it over. I believe in that. That means what you give is what you give is what you get back. You give God 100%, you're going to get 100% back from God, because at the end of the day, nobody can't beat God given. So the point is, Are you giving 100% to somebody who's going to give you, who's going to reciprocate the same thing to you? Or are you just giving 100% for nothing and they're not going to give it back to you in the same way? They're being selfish. And it relates to them. They're trying to change you. They're expecting you to give your 100% and they don't have to give it back. That's like me. I'm thinking like this. How I see it, it means, so pretty much you expect everybody to keep it 100% and keep it real with you, but you get to be fake, phony, and lie. Oops. Did I tell on some of y'all? Apparently so. Because of the fact that that's pretty much what you're giving. That means you got to keep it real with them, and they get to be fake and phony with you. Let's say I'm gonna put this into your mind too. If a person is not willing to be upfront and tell you the truth as you're being 100 with them, when you get being 100% honest with them, if they're not going to give it back to you, you might as well just cut them off, because that gets to the point they're not going to be 100% honest with you. That's why for me, anybody who wants to get to know me regardless, I tell them just like this, and I have and always will. Go ahead and ask me any and everything you want to know. Just brace yourself for the answer. That's how I've always been. Because pretty much my life is a testimony to somebody. Period. Point blank. Have I been homeless before? Yes, I have. Have I been house to house because I've been going through so calamity and mayhem because of the choices I've made? Yes, I have. Have I been to a point I almost didn't graduate high school because of the choices I made? Yes. Have I been through some childhood issues because some people did calamity and mayhem to me in my life and bullied me? Yes. Did that make me a coward? Did that make me hide? Did that prevent me from being happy with somebody else? Hell no. Did it help me become a better person than I am today for each experience that I've been through and what I learned through each mistake that I made? Hell yes. I became better. God, forgive me for saying it like that, but I'm just being honest.
Good night.
Good night.
What's wrong with that?
See you in the morning, Amy. One of my residents. So yes, I've been through some stuff like that. I'm not being selfish. I tell it like it is, and I do it with a sincere heart and honesty. And I leave that up in your court to determine if you want to continue getting to know me or you just want to end it. That's how I do. I'm not going to sit here and cover nothing up. You want to know? Ask. Hey, how you doing? God bless you. That's just me. I'm not going to be selfish with information. I give it as it's asked, or I give it as through the conversations that we have. The more I feel comfortable with you, the more I'm going to tell you, because I just feel that comfortable. But if your vibe give me reasons not to do it, I'm not going to tell you. So keep in mind, people are selfish, and we need to stop giving 100% to people who's not going to give us the same thing. But before we give 100%, we need to feel that person out. And do we feel this person going to give us 100, or they're going to lack in it? Keep that in mind. Red flag point number 9. They make you feel bad about yourself. Ooh, that kind of relates to the other ones. Keep that in mind. I want y'all to really think on some of these. Scriptures that goes with that is Romans chapter 12, verse 19, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 9, Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31 and 32, and Romans chapter 12, verse 21. They make you feel bad about yourself. You know how we get to a point we make decisions and choices that that's going to benefit the relationship and make it better. And you always got these people that always want to make us feel bad for the choices, decisions that we make. Maybe just leaving that group of people alone. Maybe leaving a particular person who's interested in being our lives. When we find out they're not about what they about, we leave them alone. You know, we deal with people that are going to make you feel bad in some type of shape or form. The best example they use the most is, you ain't going to find another man or another woman like me. Really. Or, I'm the best thing that ever came into your life. Really. Because the last thing I remember, the best thing that came out of my life, came in my life, and always been in my life, and always will, is God. So people will make ways to make us feel bad about the decisions and choices that we made as we want to live a more peaceful life. Because last thing we don't need is people becoming another fight that we have to endure. Come into my life to be my peace, not another fight. We deal with enough out there as it is. Why do I need to come home and have another fight? Ma'am. So let's go into it. A partner who makes you feel unintelligent, unattractive, or small, belittle you, in another way, and who takes more shots at your self-esteem than they do at trying to make you smile is not one you want to see more of. A partner who speaks to you like this is projecting their own insecurities and should. Oh, you didn't know? You better call somebody. You need some help. They need help. If they're sitting up there trying to make you feel insecure, they the ones who need help. Not you, them. Because people going to make you feel insecure and drop your low self-esteem and make you think that this is the best I can do. Or this person is making you down. If we're dealing with these type of people that make you down and make you feel bad and make you feel sad, and they're not trying to cheer you up and encourage you, Houston, we have a problem. That's something we don't need to be involved in. Red flag point number 10. They go from 0 to 60 in the argument. Oops. I'm going to tell on a lot of you people. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 18. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 23 and 24. Matthew chapter 19, verse 6. Matthew chapter 19, verse 5. Everyone fights. That's part of life. Everybody have agreed to disagree moments. That's part of life. Everyone has a moment when they get too upset and feel awful about it later. But if your partner has a tendency to go absolutely bananas every time you have a disagreement, we're talking about yelling, name calling, stomping around, punching walls. This probably isn't the healthiest situation that you need to be in. Hey, Crystal, how are you doing tonight? So you have to really think about that one. Every time you have agreed to disagree moment, your partner goes off on you, and the attitude and the anger go from 0 to 60 on you. We all going to fight. We all going to have disagreements. That's part of life. What do you expect? There are things that we're going to click on. There's things we ain't going to click on. But the thing about it is, if it gets to the point that they resolve to trying to yell at you, to out-talk you, that name calling you everything but a child of God, they stomping around throwing baby and childish tantrums and fits, that tells you you're not in the healthiest of situations, and you need to exit stage left before more damage is done. And it kind of relates to number 9, how they make you feel bad about it. Every time you disagree with them about it, they'll do everything they can to make you feel bad about it. Especially if they're going around acting like a man-child or a woman-child, meaning you're a man and you have your mindsets and your demeanor of things that's mental is in the mindset of a child who throws fits, whine, fuss, and moan when they can't get their way. Oh, sorry about that. Scripture is 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, Proverbs chapter 15, verse 18, 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 23, 24. Now, when I have to redo this, I'm going to have to tell every scripture just for you to catch up, Crystal. I'm going to get you. All right. First Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 18. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 23 and 24. Matthew chapter 19, verse 5 and 6. So I know you're going to be watching this from the beginning because you got a lot of scriptures to catch up on. All right, let's continue. Red flag point 11. They dismissive and don't take you serious. You ever dealt with someone who you show intentions and you're really serious about it and they kiki ha ha laughing about it? Let me go into that. And the scripture for that is 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 14. A lot of these scriptures are going to repeat because they do relate to the particular red flag point. So don't be surprised like, why are you repeating scriptures? It goes with it. Amos chapter 3 verse 3. Genesis chapter 2 verse 24. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 24 and 25. You get into a fight with your best friend or your significant other or spouse, and it's been really bugging you, but when you bring it up to your partner, they roll their eyes and mumble quickly, "That sucks," before returning to their wherever they was doing, like watching TV, playing video games. This isn't the person you're supposed to be able to lean on. So let's just say you and your significant other, you and your friend get into an argument or get into a fight and it really bugs you, but you want to come to them and talk to them about it because it's been bothering you, and all they do is murmur and roll their eyes and don't take it serious. Just like when you express intentions that you want something serious with them and they're not taking your word very seriously, they kiki ha ha, because with some, they like, well, I got other men or other women trying to get with me. Or, well, whatever. You're right. You're right. Whatever. They be like that. They dismissive and not taking you serious. But here's the thing I've often learned in my lifetime. You know, sometimes it often takes you moving on from somebody, moving for someone and going towards somebody else, they get to the point they want to take you serious. Often at times I learned that over my point in life. That often people won't take you serious until you moved on from them. So remember to keep that in time. I know it's time to pray, but I'm at work, dear, and I'm trying to review these red flag points that I started for the first 3 parts before and prepare everybody for part 4. Because after I do part 4, I'm going over all 23 red flag points later this upcoming week. Okay. So let's go ahead and continue. Red flag point number 12. They're rude to their parents. Ooh, that's a major shutdown for me. In a way of why I say that's one of the major red flags for me, it's because of the fact of I love my parents, even if they're not together or not. At the same time, you gotta have some type of getting along with them. I know we all been through our ups and downs with parents, but at the same time, the word just says, honor thy mother and thy father, for thy days on the earth be longer. I know what you mean. So, I can sit here and point out some of the red flags that will automatically shut me down from you. But that's that's the finale review. I tell y'all. But red flag point number 12 is one of the major things that, because I have a decent relationship with my parents, and I know they're not the best parents. They made some bad choices and everything. That's life. But at the same time, I still honor my mother and father. And if you're sitting up there being rude and disrespectful to your parents, heck no, because I see you going to be like that with mine. No. Heck no. You're not for to be rude and disrespectful to your folks in front of me and thinking I'm going to let you do the same thing to me with mine. Because that's a major shutdown. That's a new, you either get your act together or it's done. Because guess what? These will be the same people that you're going to see. Why would I let you be disrespectful? Anywho, scriptures that go with that is always one of the obvious ones. Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 24. And Proverbs chapter 1, verse 8 and 9. You think you know them. I'll let you know if you're right or not. Maybe their parents are difficult people, but their partners who are nasty to their mom and dad usually carry that attitude into their relationships too. If they can't respect the people who gave them life, how are they going to be towards you? Always keep that in mind. Meaning in the way that the fact that if these people are disrespectful and rude to their parents and have a nasty attitude with them, imagine how they really gonna be towards you. I know we're not meeting parents early and everything. Oh, my new friend, how you doing tonight? I know you're behind went out. So anyway, if they being rude and disrespectful towards their parents, imagine how they really gonna be with you. Some people may say, "Oh, nah, they ain't gonna be rude and disrespectful towards you." Technically, your attitude towards your parents tells me different. If you're rude and disrespectful towards your own parents, I can always get to the point of the stage. I already know how you're gonna be with me. Red flag point number 13. Nothing is ever their fault. Ooh, yeah. I guess I just pointed out another red flag that rubs me the wrong way with people. And that's called accountability and responsibility. Get the point? 1 John chapter 1 verse 19, Proverbs chapter 16 verse 18, Proverbs chapter 28 verse 13, Galatians chapter 6 verse 1, and Acts chapter 3 verse 19. Yeah. Brace yourself for this one. Someone who can't take responsibility for things that are truly their fault, like making you wait in a restaurant for an hour without even a text, is a straight up selfish. I will go to the rest of it, but I'm a man I still have to conduct myself as a man of God. Anywho, so what's that saying, Minister Eric? Let me tell you what's that saying. What it's saying is, if you're dealing with somebody who's never going to take responsibility and hold themselves accountable for the decisions and choices that they make, that says automatically you don't need to be with them. It relates to another one about them being selfish, and another one that's avoiding uncomfortable conversation. And number 2 is talking smack about the other dates. That one point, red flag point number 13, will relate to a couple of the red flags that I went over so far. But that one kind of relates to number 2, talking smack about their other dates. If the person does not take any responsibility and accountability for the choices and decisions that they make, and stop pouring all the blame on that one person and act like they need to do absolutely nothing wrong in the situation, that's a person you don't need to be in a relationship with. That's a person you don't need to say I do to. That's a person you don't even need to make the effort into it, because part of being with someone is they being willing to be held accountable and responsible for the decisions and the choices that they make. We all make mistakes, we all make choices, but we need to hold ourselves accountable and responsible for our choices and decisions. But a lot of times I see, especially being posted on social media, how some people always make their significant other, their spouse, that make the potential mate of theirs look so freaking bad on Facebook or on social media, but yet instead they would never take any heed or responsibility. They always talking negative about the person and never having anything positive to say about the person. I guess your relationship was all hell on wheels. That's what I'm gonna say. I guess all your relationships and all your dates was all hell on wheels. And the fact of, no, your relationship, all relationships and dates are never always hell on wheels. It's just the people we choose to deal with. It's the two people that often shows the best interest and shows the best compatibility, but we always go for the physical and materialistic traits that attracts us with the razzle dazzle, but in the end of the day got a jacked up personality. But oh, I love him. Oh, I love her. I love what she do. I love how she look. I love what she do for me, and you know what? Is that what all they bring to the table? So if that person cannot be held account, don't hold themselves accountable and responsible for the decisions and choices they make, if they don't hold themselves accountable and responsible for the decisions and choices that they made, that's not a good significant other or spouse to be with. Because all they're going to do is play the blame game. Blame somebody else. Blame how they was raised. Blame everything else. But never taking responsibility for, oh, I chose to do this. I chose to be with this person. I chose to go on this date with this person. That's how I can say number 13 and number 2 can relate to each other the most. Because of the fact that I cannot still an irresponsible person. I can't. I know we make bad choices. That's right. I know we make bad choices, but at least say, well, it's my part. I take responsibility for my part, but I'm not taking the whole thing. Anyhow, let's continue. Red flag point number 14. They push your physical boundaries in an innocent way. Let me give you scriptures before I go into it. Proverbs chapter 25, verse 17. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. Colossians chapter 4, verse 6. And Galatians chapter 5, verse 13. Does your new bae, means whoever you have in your life, or wants to come in your life, refuse to stop tickling you while you telling them to knock it off? That means that's the point of, okay, it's good to play fight, but sometimes it gets to a point you don't want to be tickled like that, or you don't want to play right now. I'm into this. I want to watch this, sit down and talk and watch this show or this movie, and they still keep going. They are testing your physical boundaries in an innocent way, meaning they want to see if you're going to uphold telling them to stop. Because if they keep going, that means they show no respect to your boundaries. Let me continue. Do they continue to touch you in a seemingly innocent way when you ask them for personal space? This might be a sign that they don't respect your right to your own body, and they could try to stop those boundaries too much more dangerous limits in the future. Both. End of the day, both. Saved and unsaved. What can you say? So we always have them people that always want to test them boundaries when you tell somebody to stop. Or no, I don't like it when you say this. Or I don't like how you conduct just doing that. And we set the boundaries, but you got them people who wants to press your buttons and test it in an innocent way, like, yeah, I'm just messing. But actually doing it in a disrespectful way, then the people you really don't want to be around because they really want to test their love. Enter the junk test. They really gonna test your nerves and test their love to see how far they can really get away with. Cause even with my students, students have tendencies to test their boundaries to see how far they can get away with quite a bit of stuff with you. The more we allow them to get away with, is the more we allow them to be more open, is the more that we allow them to get away with. When we don't shut it down right then and there and show consistency about it, that means, all I need to do is act like this and I get this. I work with special needs, and that's a task. So I'll give my child a treat for doing a good job, doing their work, behaving, paying attention in class when they're doing what they're supposed to do. But If they're doing a bad choice and somebody gives them a treat for them to cut it out, that's automatically saying, oh, well, guess what? I don't even need to act like this and act like that in a bad way, and they're going to give me something just for me to stop it. Wrong. Stop rewarding negative decision and choices. Stop rewarding people just for somebody to cut something out. That's either you're going to cut it out the first time when I ask you to, or you're going to cut your way out of my life. Red flag point number 15. Ooh, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. We got one more, including a red flag bonus. We got one more plus a red flag bonus. And then I'm going to leave the last 3 for part 4. And then, of course, I'm going to go over all the red flag points. I'm going to go over all the red flag points and a finale of the series. All right. Red flag point number 14. They try to drive a wedge between you and your friends and family. First Corinthians chapter 11, verse 17 and verse 22. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 8. Romans chapter 8, verse 35 through 39. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18. Anyone who wants you all to themselves, and this relates to another red flag of they're selfish. Anyone who wants you all to themselves is likely someone worth running away from, far, far away from, before they sink their claws any deeper. That means if you're dealing with someone who's constantly always trying to, okay, y'all need a break. So when you're dealing with someone, okay, we'll do. If you're dealing with someone who's constantly trying to always drive a wedge between your friends and your family members, in Houston, we have a problem. As that relates to them being selfish, that relates to them, they trying to have you all to themselves. But that's as simple as it is, because I kind of explained it when I did the red flag point of they're selfish. And finally, red flag point 16. I will do 17 through, I will do the last 3, the last 5 in part 4, plus the 2 other bonus red flags. And here they are. Red flag point for 16. They cheat on their last partner with you. Hey, dude, what's good? How you been doing, man? So, they cheat on their last partner with you. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 22. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. Galatians chapter 6, verse 7 and 8. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 11. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. Reading the wrong one. It might be wise to learn a little more about this person's romantic history, because there's a good chance that every relationship they ever had has overlapped with the next one, in which case it's only a matter of time before they cheat on you too. I need y'all to hear this, and hear this very carefully. This one relates to a couple of the other red flag points that I've done. It relates to red flag, they make you feel bad about yourself. It relates to nothing's their fault. Another one is they avoid uncomfortable conversations. And Red flag point number 4, it relates to if there are 4 dates in, they throw the L word at you. And of course, talking smack about the other dates. So what this one is talking about, let's just say you recently just got with someone and they not too long ago just got out of a bad relationship. Or they say. So otherwise they come to the point that guess what? They're going to use you to cheat on them to get out that previous relationship and come into you. But think in a matter of time, they did that to them. Think of a matter of time, things don't work out. They are slowly but surely cheat on you quietly with another person before they exit from you. So otherwise, you may want to get more information about their love life before you really proceed. Because they could be cheating on you while they're still slowly but surely getting out of another relationship. So always keep that in mind. Now the red flag bonus point that I'm going to do. They're incapable of apologizing. They're incapable of apologizing. That's just another way of saying that man or that woman is incapable of apologizing for their wrong decisions or mistake that they made. So otherwise, if that person is not willing to apologize for anything they say or do wrong, and they think they didn't do nothing or say nothing wrong or whatnot, or they don't got to, they are unapologetic. And guess what that's going to tell you? No. So, review. So to go over the review. Pretty much at the end of the day, some of the red flags that I just mentioned is the fact that sometimes we do have to really pay attention to how we do, gather more information if we want, and see if we want to really proceed on going forward with the person, or just leave the situation as just friends. It's best to get every ounce of information that you can before you make a decision to proceed forward or stay where you're at. It's better to do that because of the fact that if we choose not to really pick at information, or we dealing with people who's avoiding the uncomfortable type of situations, or making you feel bad for asking these questions, or into the point they always talking negative, or never thinking that anything that happens in their life is their fault. That's an unapologetic, unresponsible, unaccountable person you do not want to deal with. And that should be cut away before a whole lot more damage is done. Do not be with someone who's not willing to apologize for anything they say wrong. Do not be involved with anybody who refuses to have the serious conversations or acknowledge where y'all stand at in y'all situation. Don't be a friend with benefits. Don't be a baby mama. Don't be a baby daddy. If your intentions already been known that you want to be someone's husband or somebody's wife, you need to be with somebody that wants to be a husband or be a wife. If they don't want to be anything like that to you in your life, or they don't see it going no further, or you've still been in long-term relationships for 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 years in a relationship, and you're still stuck in that relationship phase, or you're still stuck with that relationship phase that all you getting out of that is a kid, or you're a baby mama, baby daddy, but you're not nobody's husband, no wife, that's a situation you might as well get ready to leave out of and just co-parent, because you should not have to settle or drop your standards to please somebody else. Or we should not be always trying to work towards getting somebody or waiting for somebody to get ready to be something that they should have been getting themselves in a position of doing while they're already in the phase of being in a relationship with you in the first place. If their mindset is not the same thing as yours, be unequally yoked. The word says that. Why are we dealing with people that's unequally yoked to us? Why are we choosing to be with somebody who only sees us far enough to be good enough to be their girlfriend or their boyfriend, but not worthy enough to be their husband and their wife? And all the stuff that you've done with them is wifey or husband worthy benefits, but all you still see me as a boyfriend or girlfriend, or constantly giving excuses, I'm not ready. Even to a point, if you shoot your shot and throw a proposal because you've been with this person for so long and they reject it, guess what? Even though people want to say, nah, you shouldn't give up and lose eye on the investment you put into this person, do you want to risk being shot down and rejected again? Just keep that in mind. I think I'm speaking on somebody for that. Because sometimes some people may propose to us, or we propose to them, and we sat there and we got shut down. How do you feel? You can't always say, "Oh, I'm not ready," or "I need to get this together," or "I need to get that together," because everybody's not going to have everything together. It just matters doing things as a team and working together. If you can't honor a commitment or honor an agreement or a promise that you have with this person, you don't need to be with them. If you want commitment, you have to honor the agreement to it. God only acknowledges the relationship that we have with Him. So between that single and marriage phase, guess what? How God sees, He still sees us as single until we say "I do." But at the same time, we still have to honor a commitment. We still have to honor an agreement. We still have to honor a promise. If we can't honor a commitment, or agreement, or a promise, we don't need to be with them. You don't need to be with that type of person who's not going to hold their end of the commitment, the agreement, or their promise. Because in the word, it always say, "Let your yea be your name, and let your nay be your name." Be a man or woman of your word. That's what it means. If you're not a man or woman of word, don't you open your mouth and say it. And if you say you want this, but your mind says this, and you say this, but your actions show different, don't ask for something that you're not ready for. Or in another way of saying, don't say that you are, but your actions are always showing you different. Don't let nobody make you feel bad because you have standards and expectations and you know exactly what you want. And if that person don't want to fulfill that want that you have in your life, then that you have no problem walking away from them and be with somebody that wants the same thing exactly that you want. If you want somebody, if your mindset marriage, you want to be married, you want to have a family, you want to do things together, you want to be somebody's husband, you want to be somebody's wife, guess what? You have to have standards and you have to stand on them. You have to stand on them principles. If you choose not to stand on the principles and you settle yourself down just to have something in your life, having a piece of person, then a full person, then what that tells you about your own self. That means you just dropped our standards and morals and expectations and our self-respect just to appease somebody else and make somebody else happy while we walking around trying to put on a fake smile and be happy because of the fact that, oh, at least I got a piece of something, at least I got something than nothing. I'd rather have something whole than have a piece. But won't you hurt? So always keep that in mind. Don't ever settle. Don't ever drop your standards to make somebody else happy, and you're walking around peed off and putting on a fake smile to make everybody think y'all happy, you happy, and y'all happy, and you're really not. Well, that's the review for the first set 15 red flags that we went over. Be on the lookout for part 4, and then of course be on the lookout for the finale of the overview of every red flag that we went over. This is your one and only Facebook minister, Minister Eric Robinson Jr. I thank y'all for tuning in tonight. I thank you for the hearts, likes, shares, and comments. Y'all know how like our session is saying. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I thank you for the hearts, likes, shares, and encouragement. Thank you for tuning in when you really don't have to, but you really wanted to hear an encouraging word that may help you in your life and in your situation. Y'all have a God bless morning, afternoon, evening, and night. God bless y'all. I love y'all. Peace. And I will make sure I won't come on so late to do my lives.